otherwise really not much to choose. Reach advantage for Dwight Pratchett, but I'll tell you, he is in there against the buzzsaw tonight. I think you're really going to like Julio César Chávez, and he's going to get tested somewhat by Pratchett, too. Let's take a look at how Julio César Chávez fights his fights. He's a banger. There's no question about that. And I think the fact that he does not score a high percentage of punches as opposed to the amount of punches he throws, punches landed, that is, the amount of punches he throws, I think is indicative of the fact that he is a guy who's just going to go right after you. There's no question about that. So that is a look at how Julio César Chávez fights. And here, on the other hand, is a look at how Dwight Pratchett fought in a close loss to Juan Laporte. He landed just about 30-some% of his punches. So they are comparable in terms of what percentage of punches they land, but in terms of how effective those punches are, well, Chávez is strictly the better of the two. Here's the way the WBC rules are. 10-point must system. 3 judges score the fight. There will be no standing 8 count. You can only be saved by the bell in the final round, and the ring doctor can stop the fight. So right now, let's get up to the center of the ring, and the ring announcer here in Las Vegas, Chuck Hall. Chuck?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, once again. Welcome to the Riviera Hotel Sports Arena, where tonight the dynamic duo, Don King and Butch Lewis, in association with the Riviera Hotel, presents History, a September to Remember. These bouts are sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Sig Rogich chairman, with the commissioners at ringside, Dwayne Ford, Art Lurie, Sammy Macias, and Freddie Little, along with the executive director, Harold Buck. The officials assigned for the next bout of the evening, the judges are Paul Smith, Senor Miguel Donante, Senor Jorge Ruiz Valesco, and the timekeeper is Mike Morabito. Counting in the knockdowns is Al Bisick. Your referee is Davey Pearl. This is a featured event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship of the World. Introducing, in the blue corner, the challenger, fighting out of Gary, Indiana, weighing 128 1/4 pounds, with a professional record of 13 wins, 6 defeats with 7 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the challenger, Dwight Too Tough Pratchett. And in the red corner, ladies and gentlemen, from Culiacan, Mexico, weighing in at an even 130 pounds. His professional record consists of 45 wins, no defeats, with 41 KOs. I would call your attention to the fact that he is wearing a black sash on the side of his trunks in mourning for the deaths of the victims of the earthquakes in Mexico City. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the WBC Super Featherweight Champion of the World, Julio César Chávez.
Only one guy, only one guy. One guy. Somebody get out. I remember what I told you in the dressing room. Keep this a clean fight. Shake hands and good luck. Okay?
So your first look at the super featherweight champion, Julio César Chávez, his 3rd title defense. He's beaten some quality opponents too, right?
Well, when he knocked out Roger Mayweather, that's when he impressed me as being a guy who could take a punch and give a punch.
Larry Merchant has joined us also. You've seen Chávez fight, Larry?
Just on television. This is my first look at him in person. Very impressive young man. If he stays on the track somewhere down the road, he could have a fight with Hector Camacho that'd be as big as Ray's fight with Tommy Hearns.
The title that he holds is the title, in fact, that Hector Camacho vacated, the super featherweight title.
I'm really surprised by Chávez. Normally he's a very aggressive fighter. I think what he's doing now is pretty much trying to feel Pratchett out, trying to see what type of punch he possesses.
Chávez, one of 10 children. Pratchett, one of 16 children. They could have sold the place out just in their siblings.
Come on, punch. Hold it up. Get up. Get up.
Pratchett, a tough loss to Juan Laporte.
Turn him loose when I tell you now.
Interesting when his most impressive performance is a loss, but it was to a quality opponent. Chávez can punch. That was a pretty good uppercut by Pratchett, but it got Chávez on the way back. hand.
And Chavez, there is concentration. I mean, when he executes a punch, it's with authority, it's with power, and it's accurate.
And he's on balance also.
The more I see Chavez, the more I'm impressed because he improves every fight.
Very dedicated fighter, anxiously learning how to speak English now because he figures wisely that it will help him in his career. Good looking kid.
Well, Pratchett's trying to get his punches in this very first round. He ran to the right hand, didn't seem to do too much damage. In fact, Pratchett appears to be so much smaller than Chavez. There was a right hand again. He's running into the right hand mainly because he drops his hand as he comes in.
Chavez punches just sound like they have so much authority. Down toward the end of the first round, and we incidentally will have an interpreter in Julio César Chávez's corner, Tito Alba, on hand to help us out with that, so you'll hear a simultaneous interpretation of just what is going on in the corner of the champion, Julio César Chávez. And to round one.
A feeling out round, obviously, for Chavez. And here's Larry Holmes.
We're going to do the thing right here at the Riviera, knocking out Sphinx. How much
Un poquito más veloz. Entras muy fácil pasando el lado.
I got tape around his waist. He's got it.
Permíteme.
No, it's all right, because, you know, so take it off.
They're talking about that they expect him to try to knock him out fast, so he's got to be very careful and watch him very closely and be a little bit more, a little faster.
Even for a feeling out round, Chavez did look to be going at a rather lethargic rate.
So we'll see if he doesn't pick up the tempo here in the second round. Chavez in the red trunks, Pratchett in the white trunks. Pratchett pressing Chavez a little bit here.
Chavez has been elusive. He has not been hit by any big bombs thrown by Pratchett. He moves his head very well. But it's time now to throw his own bombs.
Pratchett staying right on top of Chavez. Do you agree with that strategy, Ray?
Well, I think for Pratchett, his best bet, because not really a one-punch knocker-outer, his best bet is to use his boxing skills.
And you saw Chavez indicate to Davy Pearl that he was being butt.
You see inside, when Pratchett goes inside, he's not that effective. He's better on the outside.
Get your hands off his neck.
Chavez just seemingly in control, hasn't really fired the big bombs yet.
Chavez is going to do something. The way I see Pratchett, he throws punches and he drops. He stoops, and he's doing it repeatedly. So what Chavez may do, he may bring some punches under. He has to time him. The right hand there, land.
Chavez's hero, Ruben Olivares, youngest Mexican champion ever. And of course, Salvador Sanchez, who he says he's never met, but he has seen on television, very likely on right here on HBO, prior to his tragic death.
Chavez doesn't specialize in the left jab. He
Take your hands off his
primarily
neck
likes
now.
the right hands and left hooks. His left jab is pretty much something to measure for the right hand.
Good combination by
Hands off his
Pratchett
neck,
that did
Dwight.
get in.
Look at the way he digs to the body.
Punch out now. Punch out. Your hands are free. Watch your head now. Watch your head.
Pratchett posing a bit of a problem here for Chavez right now. He's staying on top of him, and he seems to have the champion not so much in trouble, but just a little bit confused.
Well, normally Chavez is a relentless fight. He stays on top of his opponent, just the way he did with Roger Mayweather.
Let him loose now. Get your hand off.
He is content to just kill his man out for another round.
Neither man has been hurt. Pratchett has been the aggressor in the fight, and Chavez has kind of sat back and just watched the goings-on.
Keep him up now.
Chavez has 45 fights under his belt. Won them all, 41 of them by knockout. So he's dangerous, there's no question about that.
Get up.
Coming down to the end of the second round now.
Well, I think a case can be made that Pratchett has won the first 2 rounds of the fight, at least on my card. And he's posing some opposition, and I think that's good for Chavez, and it's good for us.
You're winning these rounds, guys. Let's keep it up. Don't get caught with that big right hand.
Not much going on there. I guess they're happy with what they're seeing.
Looking good, son.
Although he has a long reach advantage, Pratchett isn't using it. He's just going right at Chavez.
Hey, give me some adrenaline.
I know the first rounds are very difficult, but you have to take it easy and keep on hitting low, on the low side of his body.
So we start the third round, and in Chavez's corner, they're telling him to stay downstairs. That'll bring the man's arm down, and then he can go headhunt.
Take your hands off his neck.
Meantime, Pratchett showing himself very well.
Well, he doesn't have to look for Pratchett because he's been there for the past 2 rounds. He has chosen to stand toe-to-toe with a devastating puncher as Chavez.
Hold it up, break, step out.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, the most impressive Pratchett has been was in a 10-round loss to Juan Laporte, but the indicative number there is 10 rounds. He did go the distance.
Now Chavez is starting to dip that left hook to the body. It's a thing of beauty, Barry, because you can see the results. You can see something taking place in a fighter. Those hands start to drop. His movement slows down a great deal.
There's blood showing, actually, on the ribs of Julio César Chávez, but I can't really tell where the blood is coming from. It's coming off the gloves, apparently, but I don't see either fighter marked on the face.
Hands off his neck.
Chavez is finding it really quite difficult to get some clean punches in. Good body shot, but it's difficult to land a good punch on Pratchett for the time being because he keeps his hands very high, which is a good habit.
Once again, there's signs of blood, but I can't really tell where that blood is coming from. We'll try to see if they're working on either of these fighters in the corner between rounds.
This is going to turn out to be a fight of strength and power. And I'm sure Chavez should win on power. He's proven it in 41 knockouts.
So far, though, Pratchett's getting his punches off quicker than Chavez.
Oh, there's no question about it, but he has the quicker hands. But the power has to go to Chavez. But Chavez can't get his punches off too cleanly because Pratchett stays very close.
Neither man has been hurt. This is the third round.
You have to wonder how much of this can Pratchett take. Because any big puncher is an accumulation. It takes his toll.
Keep your hands off his neck now.
Pratchett being told by Davey Pearl to keep your hands off his neck, and Pratchett is holding a little bit with the left hand.
Well, he's making Chavez fight. Chavez is finding it difficult to get some punching room.
Oh, and Pratchett actually dropped his hands and walked away.
There seems to be blood coming from the mouth of Pratchett.
Get your hands off.
It could be his lip or his jaw. It was his jaw, exactly.
He just dropped his hands and walked away.